I'm glad to
There she is.
Hello, Goo-Goo.
Hey, or okay.
That's something from
Goo-Goo.
the house.
We have to say hey or okay.
Hey, Goo-Goo. Okay, Goo-Goo.
What's the weather? Yeah.
What's the weather, ask?
What the weather? You want to know what is the weather
Tomorrow.
tomorrow?
In Flagler Beach tomorrow, there will be showers with a high of 65 and a low of 56.
I'm scared. I'm scared. It's a mystery. Oh my God.
It's a mystery. And it is a mystery. So for some of us, we're feeling that way. Or we at least started 2 weeks ago feeling that way. Some of us have been out of classroom practice. We use these tools all the time and we're not, using them with students. And now it's like, okay, how do I adapt? So we just want to start with a little bit of funny, but a little bit of feel free to kind of let your hair down and tell us what you're having problems with today. We all start somewhere. And that's why we want to hear from you when it comes to what you tried, because this is what we said we were going to do. Last week, Tracy shared a ton of tools with us when it comes to Hyperdocs. A lot of work has been done for us, but it doesn't mean that there's not work left to do. So we want to hear from you. We want you to be daring, take a chance, and share with us either what you've tried, how your students responded. Maybe you didn't try and maybe you were stuck either on an instructional question, like how do I even start? Or a technical question like, hey lady, you didn't show me what a link is.
So that happened, right? I have a very good friend and mother-in-law, Carmen Canales, and she's like, hey, those resources were great. The thing you forgot to do was show me how to do a hyperlink. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that was good. So I have that in here. Even though this is 102, because that's really one of the things we want to hit today is those technical, targeted, specific support for everybody that's in our community of practice. And if we can't answer the question, we'll go find the answer for you. I'm going to unmute everyone so everyone can talk, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I have tried using Hyperdocs before. And so it was mostly for me to share to teachers. I was the coach. I was doing the coach at Meadows. So I have used them before for providing resources for teachers with slides, with Hyperdocs. And that worked really well. Taking it to the classroom with kids is a little bit different. I'm having to go step by step with the students on learning how to click on the links, on circling and recording myself, showing them. We think that they're very technologically advanced, but maybe in other things, a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
That I think I spent a few days walking them through. If this is a live link, this is what it's going to do, and you have to click on it. But I think we're getting better now. So I love Hyperdocs. You can do so much in one page. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you for saying that, Mary. About kids, we have assumptions about what they're able, what they already know or what we think they're able to do. And I really want to just make a connection to what we think about language register, right? And academic language. And they can converse in a casual way, and they can use technology in a casual way. But when we think about academic language, there's also academic technology use, and that's the instruction that we're giving, right? They know how to do some things like TikTok, but when it comes to having that academic frame of mind with the technology, we got to spend some time teaching it. Yeah. So thank you. Does anybody else have something that they tried? I see Danielle's lighting up.
And Marie has something to say as well.
Yeah.
If she wants to. She wrote it in the chat box, but I wasn't sure if she wanted to talk about it.
Thank you.
Hey!
Sure, I'll talk about it.
Thank you.
So my kids are going to start reading Chasing Lincoln's Killer next week. And so it goes in with the last unit that we were working on before we left for this break, I guess you could say. And so what I did was I created some Google Slides that walks them through the process for that day. And then I took their worksheets and turned them into Google Docs I did the whole thing where I made it the background, then I added the text boxes in where they need to write.
Yeah.
And so there's a link that they have to follow to that sheet, and then it gets copied. When they open it, it's their own copy, and so they don't have to worry about making a copy of it anymore, because I was tired of getting emails like, I need access, I need access. You know?
Right.
So that's what I worked on this week. After I did your 101 training, I went and started creating those. You had this one sheet in your presentation where it was like, it had all the verb words like read, process, whatever. So I kind of took that, and because we can only have them work for about 20 minutes a day on our subject, I only took 4 verbs. So it was like read, listen, and then whatever the worksheet is, and then they have to go revisit like their KWL chart, the plot chart, whatever it is that we're working on. So they have 4 things that they have to do in that 20-minute period. And I did a hyperlink to the text of the book, and I did a hyperlink to the audio on YouTube. So it's all there on one sheet for them, so they never have to, they don't have to go clicking around it, all these different places to try to find it. So that's what I did for my kids.
I love it. I especially love the part where you have 2 choices, right? They can read or they can listen. I think that's huge.
Or
It's like this helps us do UDL. You know,
but they can do it both at the same time too. They can open the text, and then they can go play the audio in the background and have that going. Because a lot of my kids like to listen to it while they're reading, but then I have a few kids that can't stand listening to somebody else read. They want to read it themselves. So
got it.
Yeah, Marie, if you're willing to share that in the link, and, to just for us to see for our team. I love also that you talked about the verb that you put inside the box, that gave some guidance to the students. So that's important. That's part of the pedagogy of a hyperdoc. And also you use the ending where they had to force a copy. So Tracy showed you how to paste the link. The end of the link says edit and a bunch of gobbledygook. If you take edit off and put copy there, it'll force the copy on the other side of the link. And maybe if you need to see that, put it in the chat, and that'll be something Tracy can show you during her little demo in a minute.
Okay.
I
didn't put that in.
I want you to know another ending, just like you would do changing copy at the end. You can change the end to view, and that will make it so the kids only have to click one time. They won't have to click to get the little blue web link and then click again the link. When you change the ending from edit to view, it gets it down to 1.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
I wanted to share something with you, Marie. You said you're thinking kind of like a hyperdoc for novels. I have a great resource for you.
We put it in the link for us.
Yes. So
there it is.
Hyperdocs that somebody created for a bunch of novels that give you an idea of how they organize their novel book studies. It has a list of about 25 ready to go Hyperdocs novels that are tied to epic and readings and everything that you need. So I hope that helps.
Cool.
What else?
Thank you.
The more you talk, the more we know what you need.
I guess I'll talk.
Danielle?
I saw this teacher create a virtual classroom through Google Slides. So I created one with my Bitmoji and set it up. And then I attached me reading. We were reading holes in the classroom and we stopped. And so a lot of them like when I read. So I made videos of me reading the book and added it. And then I started out very simple with Padlet and some other fun activities for them to do. And then every week I'm gonna add a little bit more to see how it goes.
Excellent. So I hear that you're mashing up. So you've got Padlet and so a bunch of the Google apps going, and kids are engaging in different ways. Thank you for sharing.
I wanted to say one more thing that I just discovered. Is that okay?
Yes.
Most definitely.
Okay. When I was working on my Hyperdocs and my Hyperslide, I guess that's what it's called, I got an email from a friend that's using a Google extension called Moat. And I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but if you go to your Google store and you type in Moat,
Mote?
M-O-T-E, yeah. And what it does is it allows you to speak the directions and embed it into the Google Doc. So it should come up. That one, the first one. So I've tried it with a couple of them. And what you can do is record yourself in the comment section of any slide or doc. And right now, I think it's only supporting English. I didn't try it in Spanish. But what I've done is after I create my Hyperdoc or slide, I add my own voice recording of what the instructions are for completing or for this is what the final product will look like. And it lets you record for a good little while. So that way they can get the audio instructions from our own voice. And so far I've tried it with 2 of them and it has worked. I haven't sent it out to everyone yet because I just barely was playing with it last night.
I love that you're saying that you're inside of our brains, Mary, because Anna today showed me a very similar extension. So let's add Mote to our tool belt. And also this one, talk and comment.
Yes, that one's good too.
Same idea. And so you can see right here on my screen, Anna helped me install talk and comment. And it installed this little microphone right here on the side. And it's going to be there on every single page that I have now, as long as I have it on. And I can talk right now and it'll record my voice and then make me a link so I can paste my voice anywhere. So in very similar ways, these 2 tools are working. I
have been using this one, the talk and comment, for my Google Classroom directions. The other one would be, the way that I started using the mode was on specific slides, but this one is really good for adding it to your Google Classroom directions.
So you said this one,
kids don't like to read, but they won't mind listening. You can tell them a lot more with audio directions too.
Did you say that this one Mote works well with Google Slides?
With any Google thing, you can, if you click in the comment section, it allows you to, it will show us a comment. You know when you comment on a slide or a document, so it will be right there on the side as a comment and it will say, click here. And it also gives a transcript of your voice. You can choose to turn on and off the transcript that's attached to it. So it's the first time that I've used it. I like it so far, but I'm going to try to push it out to the classroom next week to everybody. So hopefully I'm excited by it.
There are so many good implications for that kind of technology for our English language learners. So remember,
Marie has also mentioned Screencastify is another version of an extension that we can use to kind of talk about what we're discussing right now, putting our voice into those lessons.
Excellent.
There's so many. There's a lot.
Tipping it back to Hyperdocs. Does anybody else want to share before we, or have any questions or technical difficulties that we can address? Or maybe if you have them, jot them down. And as we're going through in real life and building this Hyperdoc from scratch, Tracy's going to think it out loud. Then maybe you just speak up and ask the questions that you have. So one last call for any sort of praise reports or this was awesome or epic fails, whatever you got. So these are,
Hi, Jeanette.
Hi.
Welcome.
Did you have a question, JMO, or a comment? Oh, okay, all right. So these are our goals for the session moving forward. Continue to have those questions rolling around in your brain. We want to know and ask the question when you have it because it's probably rolling around in somebody else's brain too. Share, let's go through moving. Oh, so we did the share successes. And Tracy's about to think aloud and we just want to give you some assistance. So
yeah, so one of the things we were trying to, wonder is it better for us to just build one together or should I just kind of have built one and then kind of walk you through thinking it through? So I'm going to think aloud and tell you what was in my brain as I was building a Hyperdoc that I'm actually going to be using for an upcoming training that I'm going to be doing with teachers, and it's induction teachers, and it's on race. And so this is kind of my thinking around the lesson is that I wanted to have something to use, for instance, at the beginning of the year to teach short constructed response using race, because that's what the training we're doing is. So that was what I was thinking as I thought about this. So as I yes?
Before you get on a roll, do you want control of the screen?
Yeah, that'd be great. Sure. Thank you.
I know you. That way I can't see the chat with my screen on. So I can.
Okay, yeah, and you'll need to monitor the chat. Everyone excuse us for a moment while we switch sharing. And I'm going to click on my desktop one. And now I'm completely, that's the wrong one, so forgive me while I fix that. I'm going to stop my share. And then I'm going to reshare the correct one, desktop 2. There we go. And I still can't find my thing, so I don't know what's going on, why my screen is turning off. I'm so sorry, everyone. Well, maybe we shouldn't have done that, Kiana.
Just click on your browser, Chrome browser.
Just go Google Chrome talking. Well, that was another one. Oh, I know what happened. Excuse me. It's because when Kiana was doing it, I took mine out, so I wasn't in my presentation anymore. That's what happened. I apologize. Hi, John. Let me get back into the presentation. I apologize. I should tell Gugu to play some music while I fumble around here. I really enjoyed that video. It really does speak to how we all feel. Sadly, I have a Google Home sitting right next to me, and I kind of treat it just like that wonderfully sweet Italian lady that we saw in that video. She was darling. Thank you, Kiana, for bringing that in. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so now I can actually share. Oh, can you see it now?
Make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah. I just realized today that there's a big green line that shows everything. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So the first thought I had was, what am I going to teach? And then I remembered we had 2 types of templates that we could go, 2 places we can go to get templates. So as you can see with the bright arrows, there's 2 places for us to go for templates. Right here you can see it's the Hyperdocs Co. These are the ladies that actually invented the whole idea of Hyperdocs. And then this one is Driving Digital Learning. So there's 2 options there that you can go to. So if I wanted to go to Hyperdocs, it's going to go right to where it says templates, and then I click on templates. For Driving Digital Learning, it's a little bit more confusing. You have to go to the left side and find where it says Hyperdoc templates on her menu. But in looking at her menu, she's got a lot of good stuff. It's definitely well worth exploring. So what I ended up doing is I thought that the one that I would prefer to use is the one that you see on the right-hand side where it says title, and then it says explore, and then your task. Explain your task, apply your task. Now, if you'll notice, both of these are hyperlinked. We have these in our resource folder, but of course you can get them from those websites as well. This one over here, the lesson, the one that says lesson or unit title, I felt like that was a lot for me to do right now. I kind of wanted to keep it simple. So that's what I went ahead and went with. So one of the things that I needed to do was first think of a folder, like where am I going to house this? So I needed to go into my Google Drive and click on the word folder, right? And then think of what naming convention I would want to use. So I used race Hyperdoc, and that's what I'm going to be using because this is for an upcoming lesson that I'm doing for my induction training. Kiana, you had a lot to say about the naming convention, so I'm going to ask you to kind of come in on that because you're actually better than me at the naming conventions.
Yeah. So if you want to keep an organized Google Doc, like if you're not too Googly yet, and you realize, man, now I have all this stuff, it behooves you. It will make you more sane to take some time and organize yourself. Take some time and think about what is going to be the rhythm of your naming conventions. It might be your last name, your grade level. How do you do it at school? Like I was 7G, Unit 2, ELA, and then, the giver, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. So you'll want to just think about, so you can find things easily. Because at the top of your Google Drive, you have a search bar, and you can search your files so simply. So thinking about how you name things, how you're going to ask kids to start naming things so that you can find them quickly, because they're going to end up in spreadsheets ready to go and powerful. And if you have just some norms around how you name things, you'll be able to find them more easily. And
it reminds me of how, you know how some teachers are very good, in fact, some of you, when we have them put their names on the paper, it's like an exact way. Like I was extremely picky about that. And so it goes to that, right? Because I didn't want to lose their stuff. I had 185 kids. So, you know, I want to make sure and be able to have that. So this is the same way. My Google, I'm not going to lie, is sort of a mess. So I'm thinking like in the classroom, it'd be much easier to organize, but I would do just like Kiana in my units.
Can I say about the template before too?
Of course.
Just and slide 7, or maybe right.
Okay.
So we in our planning, we talked a lot about, like I said, well, think about how you started from the beginning. And she opened up a clean sheet, and I said, no, we don't really do that. We go find someone. We see a frame that we like, and these templates have an instructional design in them. Like it's instructionally sound pedagogy. We didn't just make a table inside of a Google Doc and start putting cool stuff inside the boxes. There is a flow, an instructional flow to those templates that Tracy showed you, and to each of the templates that on the resources that we shared for you. So yes, they look pretty, but the ones that we want to start from somebody else's, make a copy and make it our own, because it's an instructionally sound pedagogy embedded in a cool tool. Thank you.
Exactly. So as you can see, I had some things I need to think about. I wanted to think about what my lesson focus was first, because I need to get the template that's going to most fit that, or I'm going to create one on my own. Right? But we're still trying to play with those templates. So then I needed to think about what links will I add? What are the resources that I want to put in? Marie, you were talking about that you were using the text, and you were thinking about everything you were going to be putting in there. Then I needed to think, what is the task, a formative task that I'm going to have them do to show evidence of learning? And then I am always thinking about that, that whole idea of gradual release of responsibility, right? How am I getting them to have that feedback from me, feedback from another student, that whole I do it, we do it, you all do it, and then you finally do it alone. So remember, the intent of this exact lesson is for them to learn about race. So it's something I would be doing at the beginning of the year. I might be doing it just at the end of the year, just to remind them how to do those short constructed responses, because race really does replicate the short constructed response rubric. So that was my intent. So if you click on here, you can see that there is a Hyperdoc, okay? So, and I should have already had that put up, but I didn't. So this is the Hyperdoc that I created. So in this Hyperdoc, you can see I just used that same template, but I changed the picture. Now there's a picture of race. I changed the word and I said race. This is an example for a Hyperdoc that teaches race as a writing strategy for a short constructed response. So you can see on this side, these are all the explorers, right? I want them to watch a video about race. I want them to watch another video if they choose. So they can choose to explore some of these resources. There's a song for them to listen to. And what I want them to do is just to read, watch, and listen, right, to those resources about race. This is kind of an exploring activity, kind of getting them to think about it. Then in my next, and I'm going to show you guys link in a minute. So I remember I had to hyperlink all this stuff. So the next thing I did is I wanted them to be able to respond in one place. So I created a Padlet. So this next part says, read this explanation as I teach. So this goes actually, oops, it was the wrong link. See, I got to fix that. So this actually is supposed to go, which I'll have to change. It's supposed to go to a graphic organizer and a whole teaching document with words that actually in the explain, that's the teacher part, right? That's the whole class lesson. And then I want them to answer this question: how can race help me write a short constructed response about what I read, view, or see? And then I said, answer this question. And then I give them the race response Padlet. And so they click on that Padlet. And I already have it set up in the columns. So you can see that I've already pre-done my columns, and I'll tell you guys how to do the columns in a moment. How race can help me write a short constructed response about what I read, view, or see. They need to write a short response. A's are going to write their race here. This gives the B's a place to write their race, but they have to remember to put their group number. And then they have 2 columns for feedback. So I'm going to go back to my Hyperdoc, because on the last one, I haven't finished this yet because I just started this today. This is work for next week. You can see where I'm going to add the actual task. So I'm going to add either a link to something for them to watch or something for them to read, or I might do multiple. I haven't decided yet. So what I want them to do in this task is to apply that new knowledge about race and actually do it and then receive feedback. So that was mine, right? That was my whole Hyperdoc. And I just want to let you know that I will be changing this and redoing it. So when you view this, don't make a copy yet, because it's not all the way done. It's a work in progress. But I also wanted to show you, I have a whole file of videos for short constructive response. I thought that might be something you want to use. But I want to actually go on right now and act like I'm a student. So if I were a student, right, I would click right here and I can watch this video. By the way, if you haven't seen this video, it's really cool. Oh, wait, you're not going to be able to hear it. Hold on. Let me change. It's going to take a moment. I have to change my
speaker.
I'm going to just change everything. I need to change everything to built-in.
You guys have any questions so far while Tracy's doing her thing?
Okay, I need you guys to watch this video. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. This is a great video, by the way.
Turn it up.
Turn it up. Oh my goodness, my beats are still on. If I could just be any worse here. Hold on. One more time.
Here we go.
Casey and Strick present.
R-A-C-E, R-A-C-E, R-A-C-E. It's a writing strategy. Okay, it's time for another lesson. This how you answer comprehensive question. I started with this writing strategy. 4 letters. R-A-C-E, 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 R-A-C-E. It's a writing strategy. R-A-C-E.
Good, isn't it? Good. I love this.
It's a writing strategy. You gotta start by rewording the question. Don't forget about turning that question to.
All right, y'all, you get the idea. It gets better. They did a wonderful job. So I want to make sure I have that for you. Uh-oh.
I can see a TikTok coming right now.
Right? And now I'm just like all out of this. It kicked me out. See what happens when you go off? It totally kicked me out of everything. And I think that's great. Kiana, you want to share real quick so you don't mess up? I'm going to stop my share.
Okay.
So my Hyperdoc is for teaching race. When I was thinking about it, I was like all up in my own head though. Okay, wait, I want him to do a task. I want him to actually do the race, right? I need him to practice that. So I felt like I had 2 teaching things going on. So I really had to get that straight in my brain. And Kiana and I had that big discussion. Kiana, you're sharing your regular, not the actual presentation. So I had to really get that in my head. What is my real lesson focus? Wait, my real lesson focus is race. I want them to learn how to do race, right? And then, so I will be continuing to add to this. So if you went on that Padlet, you can see that what I wanted them to do is respond there. So I have a hard copy because I'm still kind of like the hard copy girl, right? I want to be able to see the paragraphs and then be able to give them feedback. There was another column there. I would add that column or 2 columns to give more feedback from myself. So for me, the Padlet was a really easy way to do that. And if you go on Padlet, is everyone familiar with Padlet? Are we good to go on that? Someone, if you're not, let me know and we can. It seems like we all are. Okay, so on Padlet, if you want it to do the Padlet with the columns, the thing that you ask it to do.
Hold on, let me shrink the screen. I gotcha. Oh.
Padlet, I have to go onto the actual internet to get into Padlet. I haven't been successful at an extension. I think I might be doing something wrong, but I always go that way. So in any of the ones that she has, or if she wants to make one, that's cool too. You want to use the one that says shelf. So if you use shelf, you're going to be able to design those columns. It's really cool because you can do it any way you want. So we discovered that the other day, and I thought, well, that's really great if I want to set it up for them to be able to respond. The other thing I had to think about is that I would want them to do paired work, and so I needed them to each have a number, so that'd be something specific that I need to build in for that lesson, which, remember, I'm not done with. I just started today. But I just wanted to kind of show you how you could just start with any template that works and create those, you know, that what you want, right? Make a copy, make your own. I don't think there's ever been a time that I've created a Hyperdoc from scratch, except for in slides. I've done it in slides. Like, you know, I'll treat a slide deck as though it's a Hyperdoc. But when I'm doing it in docs, I've always just used someone else's, right? A template, or like even someone else's actual Hyperdoc, and then I've just made a copy and made it my own, like change out some of the tasks that I want to do. The one, Kiana, if you could go back to slide 9. What I really especially love about this template, and this one comes from Driving Digital, it actually doesn't come from Hyper.co, is it's simple. It's like a great place to start. We're going to explore some stuff. That's kind of like our hook and our engagement, right? And so if we're talking about UDL, that's that whole part about creating interest, right? How I'm going to get them engaged. And not everybody is going to want to be the engaged. Like, I'm going to add more songs, and you can see in there is a song for them to listen to, and that was actually from, I forget his name, the gentleman in Heber wrote a song, and it's really cool. And I probably might have a couple of other things for them to go into, just different strokes for different folks, right? What do you want? And then getting into explaining, that's me going to teach the content. So my dream is that I would do a screencastify and record myself teaching that document that I saw, but I haven't done that yet. So that's my to-do later. And then I'm going to have a little check for understanding task there. Are they getting what I want? You know, and then I'm going into apply. Let's practice now. Now what I want you to do is you're going to actually practice writing a race after I have them either view or read something, some text, right? And it can be a picture. It could be a video. And we can actually, what I love about that is you can differentiate for different students. One thing that I want to make sure is I haven't gone over those hyperlinks yet. So I want to, if anyone here needs to walk through how to do that hyperlink, I think that's on slide 10, unless I'm crazy. Might be. Yes. Slide 10 shows you how I had to do those hyperlinks, right? And just in case you need more explanation, there's 2 videos. One video that you can watch that shows us how to add a link from a Google Doc, like what I would need to do. And it has some great advice, like, hey man, you need to have the sharing permissions correct. The other one is how to link from from an internet source, right? So if I'm out on the internet, how would I do that? So those are 2 very useful. But long story short, right, you have to go up on the right-hand corner where Kiana is now, and it's not letting her link right now because she doesn't have anything. But if it did, she would go and press right here where you can see mine. It switched on you there, honey. You need to go to slide 10. And it's that little, it looks like a paper clip to me, the little link guy, right? And then you just, when you get there, you're just going to paste in the link and paste in what you want them to do. Now remember, this is where, if you want to force a copy, you would go up to your bar where Kiana is right now, and actually that's where you would change the word to copy, or when Kiana was saying view. I'm still learning that though. So you can actually do that. And then you share that, and then you put that in that link so that it forces a copy.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah. Definitely.
When I was trying, because I'm newish to Google Classroom, so when I tried, so if you're sending this through Google Classroom for the students, then you do not have to put the copy at the end. You just create a copy for each student, because I messed up the first time.
Okay.
I was creating templates, and it was going crazy. So if you are sharing to Google Classroom, then you don't want to change that. You want to just make a copy in Google Classroom for each. Just a disclaimer, because I messed up.
No, well, and honestly, we wouldn't know that because we don't work in Google Classroom. So did everyone get that? Marie has something to add to that as well. Marie?
You know, I always tell my kids when they email me asking me, because it's going to happen that you forget to change the setting and you leave it as a view only. I always tell the kids, just make a copy. Like, it's not that hard. They're always requesting access. Just go up to file, make a copy. You know, like, let's not make this complicated. To me, sometimes I think it's a delay tactic. so they don't have to work on it. Well, I can't access it, Mom, you know.
Well, you
So I
might
tell them, just make the copy yourself. Like, let's not make this complicated, because it's going to happen. You forget to change the setting. You just do.
Yeah, you're right.
Right now that you're talking about file, make a copy, let's just, you may or may not know how to do that, but it's here, file, make a copy, and you have options. You could select slides or, copy the entire thing. I like to, this is part of that organizational thing in here, when it says, copy of, that's not very helpful, when you're putting it in your own stuff. So name it right here, right? Get your naming conventions down, and also place it from right here. So if you've never clicked on that folders button, place your stuff, name it and place it from right here. And that way, the first thing Tracy said was set up a folder. And so now, whenever you make a copy of something or grab it down off the internet, you just send it straight there. So I can see all of my files right in here. So maybe I'm putting it in my distance learning file, and it'll go all the way deep if you've got lots of files going. And we're collecting them all. So we know that for our job, we're putting all these presentations in one spot. So there it goes. So I'm going to put it in our common location, distance learning, and I'm going to say, this is just a sample, so we know to delete it later. I want to share it with the same people. If the folder that it's in already is shared, has a larger sharing than what you want, it's going to take on the features of that larger folder, right? So if you have a folder that's share with everyone, and you put something in there that you don't want shared with everyone, you need to change the settings to view only. So if your big folder is more open, the stuff in it is going to have that same setting unless you go backwards. If your big folder is not shared, then you can share individual things in that folder. So just kind of be aware of that, or people are going to be able to get it all up in your business.
Yeah.
That's just an organizational tip. Organize it right from the copy.
And that does make it easier. I actually used to do it backwards. I wouldn't make the folder first, but then I learned just make a folder so I can move it right away. And so that was a big thing for me too. Anybody else have any more questions, comments, or concerns, or tips, tricks, or strategies? All right. Okay. As I continue to work on this race Hyperdoc, hey, make a copy, make it yours. If you want to use it for next year at the beginning of instruction, remember to explore those videos, because I actually put a hamburger one in there because we're doing it for multiple levels, a 3.8 paragraph. So that's kind of like a growing resource too, because we're working on some induction trainings. So if you look at this slide that we're on right now that Kiana I think she just unshared it.
Sorry. Yes.
There's a lot of links there. One link is to the evaluation form. I went ahead and created an evaluation form. I actually copied someone else's. I wasn't sure if there was one that we were using, and I just wasn't aware. So I copied the one that I believe was Anime. And so if you go to the feedback, you can click on there, and it's going to ask you to give some feedback. We really do appreciate if you do give feedback. The main reason is we don't know what you need unless you tell us what you need. And if we don't know that, we're all sitting here remotely, right? And so we want to make sure that we're of service to you. So that's the best way for us to be of service. So the second part is my very misspelled Hyperdocs presentation, which you can see where it's got the little picture of the presentation and my misspelled folder. And then actually there's under the resources, there's another place where you can click, and then it'll just take you to the resource folder that's housed in our distance learning. And that's where we'll be putting the video recording of this actual recording that we all have done so well together. So I want to make sure that you know where you can get all of these resources. And also I want to thank everyone for being here today. Are we going to do a 103? I'm not really sure.
We'll probably do another repeat. So we'll ask you, like they do at church, to tell a friend, bring a friend. And
we'll just kind of repeat 102 over and over.
No, 101.
101. Well, I feel like we're all going to get better. This little community of practice, we are repeating 101. But I feel like we're going to have another 101, and then we have another 102 scheduled. I didn't put it there, sorry. So like we all can go into the 102s from now on as we do the 101s. Is that what you were saying, Kiana?
I was saying that this cohort has access to us whenever you want, and I'm sure you're ready to learn the very next thing or to go into like instructional planning with these things. So, you know, we can talk about, tell us in the feedback what you want, but to grow our next cohort and to tell people how fantastic these things can be and get them on the Hyperdocs train for the foreseeable future, you know, just help us to spread the word.
Yeah, I chose to do Hyperdocs as a training mostly because if I were in the classroom, right, or even if I were a site administrator, I would really want to start flipping all of our units, right? Start to think about how I can organize my grade level teams or my content teams, just start to reorganize. And that flipped classroom that took us, you know, we were all kind of scared of it. Now we're not scared because it was a forced flip. So I would definitely be using Hyperdocs as that, and I would want some consistency probably, and these templates really give us that, and I love that they give the pedagogy surrounding it. So I just feel like it's a really practical resource. So if you have a content team, like get together and start to collaborate around this, you know, divide and conquer the work, because it is a lot of work. I mean, it's no lie. But once, like as a team, we're like, okay, the 8th grade, you know, history, social studies team, I'm going to do this unit, you're going to do that unit, and we all kind of collaborate and create those. They're definitely going to be used now, but they'll be used next year and beyond as well. So we're kind of doing some work that whatever our new normal is going to be, it'll be there for us as a resource. And I just feel like Hyperdocs is a practical way to do that.
I am having a little brainstorm about maybe moving this into the 2.0, right? So this was still in the 100s. Think of college, right? They're kind of at a certain level. A real way I think to take this to the next level is to think about this in conjunction with universal design for learning. So if you haven't dipped your toe in the water for UDL, universal design for learning, it's happening in your school's multi-tiered system of support conversations as an instructional methodology, and this hits so many of those buttons, hits so many of those guidelines, best practices, and allows you to reach a lot of kids, give access to a lot of kids, and provides lots of choice, and that's really rich inside of that. So this would be a great context to have that, to learn more about universal design for learning.
I think as you think through it, you end up, you're doing the principles of UDL without even realizing it. And that's the great part of using these Hyperdocs. Okay, well, we've been talking at you for a little bit now. So if you have anything to add before we let you go to your weekend or the rest of your Friday, we still have a few hours left. But I just want to say thanks a lot for everyone. If there's any links that we need to add here, just go ahead and put that in the actual, and I have someone who says I need to learn how to attach a hyperlink. If you want to stay here, thank you for telling me, Jose Martinez, Priscilla. That's who wrote that song that I have linked on there. If you want to stay on after we finish recording, I would be glad to walk you through the links just one-on-one. And if anybody else has some targeted specific learning they want to do just one-on-one, we can, we won't end the meeting, but people can end on their own, leave the meeting, and we'll stay here and give targeted support to whomever needs one-on-one support.